So today we're still going to talk about Baba Vanga, Edgar Cayce, Dolores Cannon, maybe bring in a couple others about what they have predicted for what's happening right now. It is now that it's happening. What does it mean? What does this all mean? What are these predictions and can they be avoided? And why is this all happening? There are some very good things, but there are a few things that you need to know. And I want you to be prepared for what must be done that could completely change everything that's happening. And this comes from these sources, and we're ignoring it. And we continue to stay in a space where we will see those predictions come to fruition. It doesn't have to be. Let's talk about our future. The 90-10, what is that? 90% supposedly won't make it. All things are possible. We're going to address the capabilities that humanity has right now that will change this planet in a way never seen before, that the universe is waiting for and cheering us on. Are you ready for this? Let's go. Welcome to Landria Anka on YouTube. I'm here to help you break through those fears. Fear is a story. It's part of our history here, and it's a pattern. You will probably always experience some form of fear. Breaking through it means it no longer controls you. And that's where we are right now. All the patterns, all the hate, the separation, the arguing, when we observe it instead of reacting to it, we become a completely different species. And that is exactly what's happening to, well, supposedly 10%, according to Dolores Cannon, Edgar Cayce. Now, I don't know exactly where that came from, but Dolores Cannon and Edgar Cayce have said that it only takes a very small percentage of people to change absolutely everything to create a miracle. Edgar Cayce said it, and I believe it because even quantum physics supports this. I hope that you'll subscribe, click that bell so you know what's coming out next, because I will never tell you anything other than the fact that you hold the power of the universe and all things are possible, miracles, and there's no situation you have right now that you cannot turn around. And I'm going to continually tell you how to do that. We're going to do that today. So Baba Vanga, Edgar Cayce, Dolores Cannon had a lot in common. And that was that they were giving us warning signals of what will happen if we don't change it. And what we're going to talk about is how to change it, because without you, it will not happen. And I know you're programmed, and it's easy to watch the news and get caught up with what they're doing in the government, all these things. It is a distraction. So the first thing I'm going to tell you before we go into the actual predictions, you've heard them before, but I'm going to go through them, including the Bible, is that we are going to see more than anything distractions from the most credible sources. What is a distraction? Anything that keeps you on what's going on in the material world is a distraction, even if it's true, okay? So disclosure is one of them. The government. So you might spend all this time listening to all these news outlets or podcasts of what the government is telling us is true with aliens. It's a distraction. What is that doing for us? Absolutely nothing. All of this news is a distraction to keep us away from the power that you wield right now and tapping into it. This is the era that Edgar Cayce and Dolores Cannon spoke of that we must focus on 100%. Not that, because as soon as you do this here and you focus on your thoughts, what you envision, blessing others, compassion, getting away from judgment, separation, and your own opinions, you will change the world. But all of these things on what everybody else is doing is a distraction, and it's going to look like something else. Remote viewers, channelers, telling you all this stuff about what? I'm telling you right now, everything rests in your hands and your heart. Everything. And when you are not focused on that, you are not going into that new earth where we are the light beings that came here in the first place, that are done with living out the darkness. We did it, been there, done that, and now we're off to the next thing. But not until we finish this story. It is up to you. And the new earth, which is happening right now, means that you must focus on clearing your mind out, cleaning up your body, living the life that you claim you want. And that means what you're consuming, your thoughts, how you treat people, separation, judgment, all of it has to go. It is a low frequency, old earth basement thinking, and it's not allowed in the penthouse. You can't bring it up there. They're doing this, they're doing that. Who cares? That will stop when you go into this space that is going to change everything. And I cannot tell you how critical this is. Because that Hall of Records and all these things that will be revealed about our origins, I think we know we weren't just humans that plopped here or slid out of the ocean. We know that we came here as something much more etheric and fifth dimensional, and somehow explored the 3D world and went to the lowest, darkest place. And that's where we are right now. But we're pulling out of it. We're becoming aware and awake, and we're spiritually awakening. What does that mean? We know what we are. It is not something we have to seek or get or attract. It exists right now. Everything else has been the made-up illusion that we've explored. And if you've been told something that you believe now and you're blaming somebody, then you're not tapping into your power. Your power is that story is everything is possible. There is only love in the highest realms of things, and that is exploring every facet of itself to know that. Don't try to explain this. Human brains can't. So we're going to go into the actual predictions, and then I'm going to tell you what each of them shared about the power that you wield, and that this planet can go into a completely different space. And that includes those physical events like hurricanes, volcanoes, earthquakes. That can change too. We are connected to everything, and it's tough. The sun. Okay, is it a thinking thing? Yeah, it actually is. It's a highly intelligent entity, just as a blade of grass and everything else. And when you go into that space and you connect to that energy, because everything's energy that cannot be created nor destroyed, always has been, always will be, everything just transforms. You realize you're looking at centuries of creations, and it just happens to be a blade of grass right now. And that includes you. This has been everything and is everything. There's no separation in anything. So you're affecting absolutely everything in the universe and beyond with that one thought you're having. Are you blaming somebody? Are you not seeing the bigger picture? This is the teaching planet. When you get that, you know that absolutely everything is meant to give you a choice to choose something higher, to learn, to change the patterns, to evolve. That's it. Everything transitions into something else, including you and I. Do not leave this planet without transitioning into that higher frequency, and you will have the gateways open, not when you leave here. That'll happen, but while you're here. And I promise you, you'll see things showing up and checks and opportunities and, things that you never imagined, and your life will change because you will not be the same person. So let's talk about what was predicted. Geopolitical, mystical predictions. World War III was predicted. It doesn't have to be a military war, and it doesn't have to happen. That's one timeline, or maybe many timelines. So Baba Vanga predicted a large-scale global war beginning, supposedly 2026. She never gave that date, but people who interpreted her readings said things are happening, aligning with what she predicted, and that would be about now. So major powers like the United States, Russia, and China, it's expected to start in the East. Well, look at what's happening right now. And guess who's got their little fingers over there as usual, and lead to a collapse of the West, with Vladimir Putin potentially emerging as a dominant world leader. I don't believe that for a minute. I really don't. And I think that with our elevation of our spiritual energy fields, that we can change the decisions of leaders. And we're going to go into that in a minute. Technological takeovers, turning point where AI reaches levels where it begins to control human routines, jobs, and personal relationships. That's already happening. It's as good or bad as what's behind it. What are you putting into it? What are you looking up? Do you know everything you put into the computer or what you watch is telling it what you like? Algorithms. What videos are you watching? You're telling YouTube and the entire internet that you like that conspiracy, that you like that controversy. You're doing it. So something Baba Vanga talked about was extraterrestrial contact. Supposedly November 2026. Again, she never gave that date, but there's supposed to be an arrival of a large spacecraft on Earth. Our first contact with aliens directly. It's not our first, but on a large scale, supposedly. We'll see. Well, Chris Bledsoe now predicted, these dates keep changing. Now it's October of this year. Again, we control the events on this planet. So if we're not ready for certain things, they just won't happen because they have to align. They have to be in sync. So the Bible says, commencement of the tribulation. The year 2026 is identified as the start of the 7-year tribulation period, beginning in the fall of 2026. Keep pointing to that date, following a half hour of silence or grace period starting in the spring. In other words, we got a little bit of a breathing room here, and something's going to start happening in the fall. We don't know. The rise of the Antichrist, we don't know what that is, or is it a person? It's the man of lawlessness, his subsequent world rule from a rebuilt temple in Jerusalem. Boy, that could be a lot right now. The great persecution and mark of the beast. The mandatory mark of the beast, 666, a permanent tattoo required for all commerce. We've got that. Everything has a number on it, right? We have social security numbers. Everything has a number. That's been going on for a while. Destruction of Mystery Babylon. Babylon, often associated with the U.S. in these interpretations, is predicted to be isolated, plundered, and destroyed by fire by the Antichrist and his 10 allied kings shortly before the end of the tribulation. Start paying attention to stuff that's going on out there. Now don't start watching all the news again. You're going to hear some certain things. Do watch and see what happens, but we're going to focus on changing it, okay? Armageddon in the second advent, Battle of Armageddon at Jerusalem, where the returning Lord Jesus Christ destroys the armies of the Antichrist. Then the resurrection of the church. I don't know. Millennial and last judgment. Following the second advent, Christ will rule the earth for a literal 1,000-year millennial. Then a final Gog and Magog rebellion occurs, followed by the great white throne judgment and the commencement of the eternal state in the New Jerusalem, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what anything means. That was old speech, old biblical speech. And right now, we're just going to talk about spiritual evolution. March 2026, Dolores Cannon specifically talked about this era where we're splitting. That's happening. We know that. We're becoming awake, and we know that we are feeling very different than that old world, and we're not believing it anymore. It's up to you whether you believe it or not, or you blame it. Reality acceleration. Now, here's what's going to happen. A mechanical change in consciousness is predicted where time feels compressed. Months of growth will happen in weeks. It could happen in an instant, and the manifestation gap closes. I talked about this in my last video, meaning internal states produce external consequences with uncomfortably fast feedback. You have a thought, negative thought, all of a sudden something happens. You got to stay on your game, all right? The 90-10 split. This split of those who become awakened and those who will hang on to the material world even more so, that 90-10, approximately 90% may remain in the old frequency because their internal state is contingent on their environment. It's controlled by it. While there are only 10% who have internal stability independent of external chaos will successfully navigate the transition. They see it, they don't allow it, they're observing it, and they're focused on the thoughts, placing the attention here, the positive thoughts. Watch it because you're probably thinking more negative thoughts than you imagine. All right, the recalibration systems. Many people are predicted to experience ascension systems. Their bodies will be adapting to higher frequencies. The 3 a.m. wake-ups, intense exhaustion that sleep cannot fix, increased sensitivity to food and high stimulation environments. Yeah, so we know this is the worst case scenario. So I wanted to know, what do Dolores and Edgar say about our ability to change all of this? All of it. Okay? Now there's cause and effect. So some of the things are going to happen due to what we created. That cannot be stopped, but it can be lessened. And we can completely turn things around. That is completely possible. So once you've done certain things, it has to play out. We have to learn from it. We're not going to be doing that anymore, right? Those nasty things. So both of them emphasize that reality is not an external force happening to us. These things are not happening to us. It's a constructive process driven by human consciousness. We're doing it. You're doing it. I'm doing it. The collective is doing it. So the more they get distracted with news and negativity, the less they focus on creating the new reality. And that's what the 3D 90% want. Stay in our world because then we can control you, keep you in fear, and have our way and our power. And they're not happy either, by the way. So they teach that our ability to change our future lies in the intentional selection of our internal state, which dictates the external version of reality we inhabit. Millions, endless versions. Edgar Cayce talked about the mind is the builder. He taught that thoughts are literal things and that what a person thinks continually, they eventually become. You're going to see it happening. The victim. I have ADD, PTSD. You have all these names for what you are, and none of them are true because you can change anything. And what are those? Those are things you're hanging on to from the past that you're allowing to affect your current state of mind. Now, I'm not saying this isn't real, peeps. It's very real. There's nothing you can't overcome. You change the story. What did you learn from it? The great choice. Cayce described humanity facing a fundamental choice between evolving toward Christ consciousness, unity with all life, or remaining in a state of separation and ego, arguing with your neighbor about the government. Talk to the hand. Constructing reality. He asserted that our thoughts and consciousness literally construct the reality we experience. Remembering, not achieving. For Cayce, higher consciousness is not a goal to be reached through effort. It's a state to be remembered. As humans are already inherently part of the consciousness, but have forgotten it through the veil of the physical world. It's just a remembering. It's not something we have to physically do and make things happen. You just remember what you already are, and the veils drop. Dolores Cannon, she talks about vibrational frequency. Cannon's sources that I studied described reality as broadcasting on multiple stations or channels simultaneously. It's endless. You get to tune in, and that creates your personal experience and contributes to the collective because it's all connected. Your internal frequency, governed by your dominant emotions, beliefs, and thoughts, acts as the tuner that determines which channel you access. So we could stay in the same room and I could be listening to rock and roll and you could be listening to classical music, and we exist in the same reality. It is a personal choice. So don't worry about what your neighbor's doing. It's about you. So the 2026 threshold, according to Cannon, March 2026 was a period where this reality was a selection that was to be made. I don't know about March. She never named dates either, but it was an opportunity to shift into 5D love-based, while others will remain in the 3D. If it is their choice, it is not us to judge that. They have another mission. They have their own choices. You cannot know what it is. Just be the light that if somebody wants to find the way, you will shine it for them. Cannon identifies this year as the closing manifestation gap. In the past, there was a significant buffer of time between a thought and its physical consequence as we move closer to this total transition. That buffer is thinning, meaning internal states produce external feedback almost immediately. Here we go. It's happening quicker. And so our ability to change the future, internal over external, changing the future doesn't require external preparation like stockpiling supplies or building bunkers. But internal clearing and frequency stabilization, guess what? That will blow away anybody who's trying to protect themselves in the physical world. Your mental powers, and when you go into that space, Christ walked on water, right? He fed armies. He fed everybody, wine and water, you name it. How does that happen? Because there are no limits. You might believe there are. We're going to go into that space. This period of time is the moment humans remember how to use their capacity to tune their consciousness to different stations. You can do it in an instant. Independent from environment. True power to change reality comes when a person's internal state becomes independent of external circumstances. Those who maintain an internal baseline of love and coherence. You're not doing this happy, sad, according to what happens out in the real world, or the physical world, I should say. The real world is the internal one. Regardless of internal chaos, are said to successfully navigate the transition to a more positive reality. You will actually physically change that world. So the tuner, Edgar Cayce talked about the mind as the builder. Your dominant emotions, belief systems, and thought patterns determine which reality channel you access. Dolores Cannon says it. They've all said it, that we can change it. This time period right now is your 90-10, and it's going to test you like no other. Why? Because we're seeing that we're going down a deep, dark place. And now we go into war again, what we thought should never happen. And there's still more arguing, and it's about power and resources, and we have to step away from it. Can we exist without those? Yes, you have to start building that world right now. No, I'm not talking about panic or, building the garden for the, apocalypse. If it happens and we go down, then if you are in a higher state of being, if you are in that high frequency, you will go to the most beautiful, amazing place, and you will affect those here who have a chance to shift into it also. This is deliberate choice. It's going to occur. It's occurring right now. It's a shift from unconscious selection to conscious awareness, tuning the mechanism. A lot of different things are going to happen to your body. Thinning the buffer, there is a buffer that is thinning, and you're going to start to see things in the unknown world that you might be afraid of because we're told to fear it, because that keeps us powerless. When you connect to it, you realize it's all part of you and all of your powers, all of it, and that it can be utilized. You talk about your higher self, same thing. All these other things are on different frequencies too. Don't be connecting to the dark ones. They do exist, just like evil people and part of you. There's a shadow part. Don't connect to it anymore. Tune it out. Are you done with it? Did you learn anything? Learn it and move on. It's time. Compression of time is going to happen. Timelines are going to be, crossing over. Things are going to be shifting. You're going to losing time, gaining time. Things are going to be missing and moving. We went through that a few years ago. Do you remember that? So the operating system of the human body is going to go through big changes because as the frequency rises, this is a really dense piece of equipment that has to house all of that. So just go with it. And I'm going to tell you something. You're going to do some amazing things with your intuition, maybe out of body, amazing dreams, the ability to change things. And of course, on a high frequency, you want to do positive things. Otherwise, everything you put out there comes straight back to you immediately. That timeline is now. It always is. What does this require? Reprogramming deep-seated beliefs about scarcity, unworthiness, and limitation. Scarcity. There's unlimited amounts of everything in the physical and unseen world. Christ, as I said, could manifest things in the physical world. You have that ability to do that right now, but we're not going to abuse it. Well, you don't even believe you can do that. As soon as you do, you'll realize that thought that you have is creating, and that negative thought and that distraction that you're off on is a 90%, and you're going to stay in it, and you're going to tell me nothing's happening. I'm waiting for the event. I'm waiting for the transition, the split. It is already well underway. It has been for years, and now we are talking about it. You're going to see light workers in high places stepping out more and more, and they're sitting back right now. And I believe within the next few months, you're going to see people speaking up in a way that you never imagined. They were fearful before because, they disappear if they know too much. And nobody's going to be afraid anymore of that. And they're going to be willing to put themselves in a position of truth. What's truth? That there is only one beautiful thing, and you are it, as is everything else. There is no separation of anything, which means that you affect everything. You affect this future planet. You affect everything by your thoughts about it. Are you willing to step into the 10%? It's a lot easier than the 90. The 90%, it may make you feel comfortable because you know that space. The 10% might be uncomfortable. What's it like to not have controversy in life? A lot of you, as soon as things start to go well or you have an opportunity, you self-sabotage yourselves. Why? There's comfort in discomfort. You know that. You're going to find yourself saying, oh my gosh, you know what? Things are going great. And, you know, thinking about the horrible things that could happen because we're so programmed to live in that world. And that's going to take some real effort on your part to drop those thoughts and say, I'm creating that. That's not real. And if I see this beautiful thing happening in my life or for somebody else or healing or that planet and sending light and love to animals and our plants and everything, if you see that, it's real. It's real. So it's time for us to get our act together. Those of you who haven't read my book, you might want to read it. I wrote that a year and a half ago, and I got an urgent message that it had to come out. So you might want to read it. It tells you what you are, how powerful you are, and it talks about the tipping point and the knowing. We're past the tipping point now, and it talks about what happens in that space, and now you will be challenged. How do you know what you are unless you're challenged? But it's not going to be painful anymore. I promise you that. You're going to be up here doing this, not down here doing this. Getting the stuff, losing the stuff, getting the stuff. You got to stay in that penthouse. And you're going to gain from these challenges. You're actually going to enjoy them because it's going to make life more exciting, right? It'd be boring if we had everything. It's like all of a sudden, oh, there's a challenge. I get to help somebody or I get to learn something. And these are going to be wonderful things that you're going to embrace because we're here to create and expand. And if you're sitting at home trying to escape it all, you're probably very depressed and very unhappy. And I don't want you in that space. But it's your choice. So I hope you'll subscribe, share my videos. Those of you who want to purchase things, buy companies who are making all the right decisions, including their packaging, down in my description, go and explore non-toxic, no animal testing, amazing products that you can use in your home, on your body. And you have to make those decisions every day to live in the new earth or not. You are whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Those of you who want to meet with me, we met for 2 hours on Sunday. It was amazing. We were talking about our powers, all of these things. Come join my membership. That's in the description. And you get all my videos early with no ads in them. And we get to talk live. And you get those recordings if you don't make it live. And I'm telling you, it's a safe place for us to talk about anything you want. Everyone is welcome as long as they're respectful. Yes, respectful and open to, well, everything. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.